doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Talk 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Let's talk about the X's and O's of family entertainment. Every parent in Florida knows the importance of being able to draw up an activity that'll get you out of the house for a couple of hours. But it needs to be affordable. It needs to be family friendly. Above all, it needs to be fun. Now, let's talk about high school sports. Bang for your buck, school sports provide the perfect game plan for your family. You'll enjoy all of the drama and excitement competitive sports offer. You'll be supporting the future leaders of our community in a meaningful way. Best of all, you can take the entire family without breaking the bank. Heck, you won't even dent it. Now, enough chalk talk. Let's get out there and see what's playing at the high school in your community. School sports. Good for our kids, good for our community. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Hi, it's Jay Foster. Join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio. We'll talk about natural cholesterol control, toxic metal syndrome, how to reverse bone loss, and the latest scientific research on vitamins and minerals. We'll have fascinating guests, and we'll take lots of your calls, too. So join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio right here on WNN.
If you suffer from excruciating back pain, do not have surgery. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, MD, and ask him about the new ozone therapy and how it can eliminate your back pain once and for all. End your suffering today. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, the Center for Back Pain Management, 561-819-6325. That's 561-819-6325 or injectpainaway.com.
Tired of low returns on mutual funds or 401ks? If you wanted to retire today, would those mutual funds or 401ks be enough? If not, learn how to build a better retirement at Online Trading Academy in South Florida, the brick and mortar school where people learn in a classroom setting how to have a better retirement by investing in trading stocks, options, futures, and forex, and how money is made in up, sideways, and down markets while limiting risk. Learn with our money, not yours. You're taught one-on-one by experienced pros who currently trade, are certified, and profitable. They show you what they do every day. Call now to register for a free half-day class on how to invest and make trades for a better retirement. Call Online Trading Academy in South Florida. Free half-day classes in Broward and now in Palm Beach. Call 561-674-9800. That's 561-674-9800. 561-674-9800.
What you want to know. What you need to know.
Talk 1470, WNN.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiver Solutions.
Expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is CareGiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Solutions Info, the show for caregivers to learn about caregiving to help make their life a little bit easier in their caregiving challenges, where we interview not only professionals in various fields of healthcare, including doctors, elder law attorneys, social workers, and the like, but also real-life caregivers just like you that are here to help share their story, and by sharing their story, help other people along their caregiving journey. So I'm so glad that you're joining us, whether it's in the car, on your radio, and at home, or perhaps you're watching us via the website caregiversolutions.info. However you're with us, I'm glad that you're here. So today is Tuesday, January 5th, 2016. So Happy New Year to everybody. And I hope that this new year brings more understanding, more comfort, and more peace to caregivers and their family, to everyone. We all need that. But caregivers especially, they're a special person for taking on this terrible task that's in front of them, taking care of someone with dementia, memory loss, Alzheimer's, whatever you want to call it. It's not easy no matter what part of the journey that you're in. So whether it's something that's just being diagnosed, whether you're in the middle or whether you're toward the end of the process, it doesn't matter. You need support, you need education, and we are here to help you and give you that. And, you know, it's very important to understand you're not alone. This is a disease that, you know, a lot of times we want to hide it. We think we're the only ones going through this, and you're not alone. We want you to know that. So one of the ways that we can achieve the goals of having better understanding, more comfort, and more peace along our journey is to learn about how to solve our caregiving problems, or at least some of them, and to prevent them in the first place. And that would be our goal. So I challenge you to, stick with us, keep tuning in and listen and learn, because we're going to be touching on a lot of different subjects this year that are going to be close to your heart, my heart, and hopefully help a lot of people. So today, our program is being focused on the dementia patient who will wander away from home or any other environment that is something very scary. Okay, so not only are they going to wander away, now you've all heard about a Silver Alert program. We're going to be talking about Lost on Foot today. Most people are pretty familiar or at least aware of the Silver Alert program. It's been in existence for a while now. You know, you see those billboards or those signs that are lit up on I-95 as you're going along the highway, and it says Silver Alert, and it has a car, make, and model, perhaps a license number, perhaps a color. And these are very important to pay attention to, because folks have gotten into their car and started it up and taken off, and now they're lost. But the existence of Silver Alert and the existence of Lost on Foot, these are two different programs, but they were both signed into legislation by the Florida governor in June of 2011. Now, the infrastructure for the Silver Alert works very well. It's in place, and it's working. It's doing a great job, and they're saving a lot of people before a tragic thing happens to them. But now the attention is for Lost on Foot, which requires a different set of protocols and different responses. So we're going to be talking about that today. And here joining me in the studio is a former Alzheimer's caregiver and wife, and her name is Sylvia Lippi. And welcome, Sylvia.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. I hope I can say something constructive to help people.
Well, I'm sure you can. You've been in the situation that we're going to be talking about today, the Lost on Foot. And your husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he was at home with you. And I know that you had a very terrible situation where your husband got out of the house at night on foot and got lost. Can you share with us briefly about that night and how it happened?
Well, he wanted to go out to see his mother and his sister, I think. Mother long deceased, up in New York in any case.
And you were down here in Florida.
And we're down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to go out, and I was determined that he was not going to go out. It was past 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guarding the door with my back and trying to convince him not to go out and telling him, you have a heart condition, you don't want to go out in the dark by yourself. You'll walk until you fall down. You'll be covered with ants and snakes. They won't find you till morning, and when it gets light, I'm giving him worst case scenario.
Right, you're trying to scare him out of it.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
and he believed me. He agreed with me totally. He said, you're absolutely right. And so my shoulders relaxed, and I started to move from the door.
Shh, got through that one, right?
And then he immediately reached for the doorknob again because he was leaving.
Oh,
so it had no effect whatever. And we went through various things of that sort, my trying to convince him not to go out.
Now, was this the first time he tried to go outside?
He had gone out 3 times before, and I'd always been able to find him, once on foot, twice in the car. And finally, I told him, because it was so late, I told him, I got tired of the song and dance. I finally said to him, Jim, you're not going out. And at that point, he raised his fist to me as he had never, ever considered even doing. And he said, oh, yeah? Says who?
Uh-oh. And what did you think about that?
And I knew I could see from the look on his face and from the posture of his hand, which was not just showing me he meant business. It was
a real
he was going
pullback
to punch me in the face.
Uh-oh.
I screamed, and I ran away. I ran into the next room, and I heard the door slam. And I knew he was out, but I had to catch my breath and get my act together a bit.
You were probably shaking a little bit.
I was quite shaky because no one in my life had ever threatened to punch me in the face before. And I got into my car, and I went out to look for him. But I stayed in our gated community, going in and out of the streets that he would be familiar with because we had friends there perhaps, and I didn't see him anywhere. So then I left the community, and I began driving along the major roadway that faces our community, and I still didn't see him. And by now several minutes had passed, and I was becoming upset. I was upset all along. I was becoming frightened.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the point at which I knew I needed help, and I called 911.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got back to my house, which was maybe 5-6 minutes, the police met me there. They were on their way, and they were looking for him the whole time that they were on their way to my house. And they hadn't spotted him.
Mm.
But they asked me all sorts of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, one of the deputies stayed in the house with me while the others left to go. Then there were several police cars. I don't remember exactly how many, but there were several, and they all left but this one fellow who was there to keep me calm, I guess. And he instructed me to go to the hamper, to first take the pillowcase off Jim's pillow from his bed that he had slept on, go to the hamper, pull out his dirty clothes from the hamper, and stuff them in the pillowcase for the bloodhound.
So they had the dogs out, too?
Yeah.
Wow.
For the bloodhound. Well, I was in the process of doing that. Mind you, a lot of time had elapsed by this point with questioning and searching and whatever. It was now at least 11 o'clock or beyond at night. And
so he's been gone about an hour now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stuffing his dirty clothes in the pillowcase. The deputy was in the other room, and he called out to me, "Wait a minute, I think they found him."
Ooh.
So I stopped, came into the kitchen to where he was. He said, "The helicopter thinks they found him." They had a helicopter out. And we live in a community whose name has lakes in the title, if that tells you anything about the water opportunities in our community. And we live on a very big lake. That was one of the first questions they asked, as a matter of fact. Are you on a lake?
Mm.
Yes, we are. And they
or
went,
a canal.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they went in the back, and there was no sign of him. Well, then they began with the helicopter searching all of the community and all of the lakes. And interestingly, the helicopters, the sheriff's department helicopters, have thermal devices in them. And they know the temperature of the ground, the temperature of the water, the temperature of the grass.
What month was this, Sylvia?
December. It was December 29th.
So it's probably a little cool out.
It was quite chilly out.
Mm-hmm.
As December can be down here.
And he probably didn't have a jacket or coat on, did he?
No.
Okay, so now you
No.
get the picture. He's
slacks
out
and
at
a
night.
short
Okay.
sleeve shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the helicopter with its thermal device can detect in the water, all of a sudden there's something that's 90 some odd degrees, and they know it's a human. So they found him. He was at that point in time trying to climb out of the lake, and he was covered head to toe. I was still in the house, but he was covered head to toe with silt, his glasses. He had silt in his underwear, in his pants.
So he had gone down.
He had been in under the water, yes.
Uh-huh.
Now, I should mention, 2 weeks prior to this happening, he had asked me to take his life. And I had said that I understood. I would help him if I could. I would feel the same way, and I would help him if I could. But I don't want to spend what years I have left in prison, and there's nothing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
And he seemed to understand that, and he never asked me again. But 2 weeks later, my gut instinct is, he thought to himself, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to jump in the lake.
So you think he actually had that in mind when he went out?
I can't know, but I do. I have a feeling, since I knew from things he had said, I knew he wanted to end it.
Mm-hmm.
And we say, oh, go jump in the lake. I think he was going to kill himself by jumping in the lake.
Mm. Well, thank God they found him in time, because that could have ended very tragically. And I know
Well,
that...
I'm not sure if it was a blessing or not, because it might have been, because he was ready, and frankly, I was ready.
And he was pretty advanced in his Alzheimer's at that time. Yeah. I know that when the police found him, you had shared with me before that they asked him a question when they pulled him up out of the water.
Because he had been in, he was so covered with silt, the deputy, this is related to me after the fact. The next time I saw my husband was in the hospital. But the deputy said, we asked him, how long have you been in the water? And he said, 45 tomatoes. Because he was aphasic, which means he had lost his mother tongue. Mm-hmm. And words came out that were random almost. So he got maybe the 45 minutes right, but he didn't get the last word right.
Even if that was right, because he could have just made that up. You know, it's he might not have had his watch on. He didn't know
aside from that, I knew that he had no sense of time any longer, or numbers. So any number could have come out.
Right.
But he knew he wanted a number.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
tomatoes.
That's what
so
he threw out.
The family still jokes about
45 tomatoes.
Yeah, Grandpa was in the lake for 45 tomatoes.
Oh, well, thank God that they did find him. I understand your feeling about was that a blessing or not. And, we all have our own feelings about that. When caregivers, it's you wonder, how much longer is this going to be? How much longer do I have to endure? Do they have to suffer? And it's something that I think, every caregiver and every spouse struggles with their loved one. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
And we're back, and we're here with Sylvia Lippi, who has joined us to share her story about her husband who suffered with Alzheimer's disease and how he got out of the house and lost on foot. Luckily, the police came, the helicopters came, the dogs came. They did find him, took him to the hospital. So this is a topic that is very common, although, not a lot of people hear about it. There is such a big risk of people with dementia getting in a car and getting out the house and getting lost on foot. So I want to thank you again, Sylvia, for sharing your story with us. It's so important. So because this is a very big problem, obviously it's a lot of a scary time for families, but it's a lot of time and effort and money by the police department, the sheriff's office, and all the other resources that are out there trying to rescue people lost on foot. With the cooperation of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Department of Elder Affairs, and the Department of Transportation, a new educational short video has been recently released, and it addresses lost on foot. Also, Alzheimer's Community Care, which is our local resource here in this area, was a very strong influence and advocate for this tool. And today with us via telephone is a representative from Alzheimer's Community Care. Her name is Karen Gilbert. She is the Vice President of Education and Quality Assurance with Alzheimer's Community Care. Hello, Karen, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Thank you, Karen, for joining us today to talk about Lost on Foot. I know you were able to hear Sylvia's story, and I'm sure this is not the first time you've heard a similar story.
No, unfortunately not.
Yeah, so this video that we're going to be showing in a few minutes, it's very important, and I wanted to ask you about this, how it happened to come about, why it's so important, and what we're hoping to achieve. Can you kind of give a little light on that?
Absolutely. As you know, we've had the silver alert for those missing while driving since 2008. And in these little bit more than 7 years, October was actually the 7th anniversary, there have been about 1,200 silver alerts issued for those missing while driving a vehicle. In a 2-year period, 2013 and 14, we've had almost 1,000 reported lost on foot.
Wow.
So it is a much larger problem. And by the way, that number does not include those who did go missing from their private homes, because there hasn't been a way to count those because they were not issued as silver alerts. And so we know that while the program, the Silver Alert program to locate those driving, has been very, very effective. In fact, in the 7+ years, it is said that there were only 2 unsolved silver alerts.
Wow, that's great. I didn't know that.
It really is. And we knew that we had to have a more intricate process to cover the many variables for when someone is lost on foot. As you know, if someone's in a vehicle, you have something concrete to look for. In a vehicle, they will be on a road. And so that's where those dynamic message boards are of help. But when someone's lost on foot, they can be almost anywhere.
And they sometimes hide. I mean, don't they hide sometimes behind bushes and trees because maybe they're scared and they don't want to be found, or they're not just out there walking on down the road. They can be, behind buildings or hiding in bushes.
Absolutely, absolutely. So initially, we Alzheimer's Community Care was integral in that original Silver Alert, and we were once again asked to head up the committees to come up with the Lost on Foot protocol, with initially a focus on law enforcement and how can we help law enforcement to understand the problem and to more quickly find those who are lost on foot. But we also understood that the community at large needed this information as well.
Mm-hmm.
So any setting in which seniors and those with a neurocognitive disorder are attending, or any family with a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or related disorder, they all needed this information. And that's why trainings were prepared for everyone, for families, for facilities, and for law enforcement. And so the video was kind of the completion of this project to really demonstrate how passionate, first of all, law enforcement is about protecting our loved ones and our patients with Alzheimer's or a related disorder. And they want to be involved as quickly as possible. And so they emphasize, as you'll see in the video, how critical it is to call right away.
And that's what Sylvia did.
That's right.
She called right away. She looked real quick, but within less than 5 minutes, she was on the telephone, which is very critical.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what law enforcement wants. They want you to call no longer than 5 minutes after you've noticed the person missing, as soon as possible, because on foot, in 15 or 20 minutes, someone can be a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
And that, again, could be a mile in any direction where we have water hazards and we have railroad tracks and we have busy roads and the like. And, of course, exposure, as you mentioned, is an issue either when it's cold and someone's not properly dressed or when it's very hot. And dehydration can occur very rapidly. And, of course, as we get older, we often have more medical conditions that come into play. So did they have their medication? Did they get insulin for diabetes, but they didn't get to eat before they left the house?
Right.
So this can become a critical medical emergency. So the faster we call, the better. And the entire Lost on Foot Silver Alert program educates about what the warning signs are.
Right. And we're going to talk about that, too, more. I think Sylvia had a comment.
Yes, may I interject regarding calling the police as soon as possible? The first time that Jim had wandered was Christmas Eve. And where was he? Right across the street from me in the parked car across the street.
Just sitting?
Just sitting. But it was dark, and I went out looking, and I didn't think to look in my neighbor's car.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologized profusely to the sheriff's deputy for calling him out on Christmas Eve, no less, on such a fool's errand, because the fellow was right across the street from home, and I was embarrassed. And he assured me, please, always call. We would rather make so many useless calls than have someone not call and have it have a very unhappy ending.
There you
so
go.
Do indeed feel free to call no matter what or when. They are there for us.
Well, you're right. People are embarrassed. They don't want to impose. They're, and even not on a holiday, even just because they feel funny about it. But the key is not to wait. And I'm glad that you told that story because, they know that timing is everything. Timing is critical.
Mm-hmm.
So on this video, Karen, what are we going to see? Set it up for us.
Well, you're going to see information on the scope of the problem and why it is so critical that we are all working together, and again, critically with law enforcement. And as you just said so well, the law enforcement members of the team that put this together and put the video together said they would much rather find that person right next door or in the car or in a closet they would much rather that happen than they be out somewhere and vulnerable to serious injuries. So thank you for conveying that as well. So you will hear that a lot in the video, and you'll actually see an enactment of a Lost on Foot event, and it really does emphasize what those potential risks are.
Great. And for people that are listening on radio, a lot of the video is audio, so you'll be able to hear the interviews with the law enforcement officers. I apologize, of course, for not being able to show you on your radio the video, but you can get this on the website, the caregiversolutions.info website, in a few days when it's up, so you can go back and watch the video at that time to see the whole thing in its entirety. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be showing you this video, so stay tuned.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney, but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare-covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
And we're here talking about Lost on Foot. We've got Sylvia Lippi, a former caregiver and wife of a husband who was lost on foot, and joining us via telephone is Karen Gilbert with Alzheimer's Community Care, who is very instrumental in pushing this video forward. And we're going to be showing this to you. It's going to be shown live on the website, caregiversolutions.info. It will be going live now, and you can catch it later on the same caregiversolutions.info in a few days if you want to look at it again or catch it for the first time. So let's just get right into this and let's watch.
In 2008, Governor Charlie Crist signed an executive order that created the Florida Silver Alert Program. The program was designed to help law enforcement find and rescue people with Alzheimer's disease and other memory disorders who have become lost while driving a car. Once a person is reported missing, information about their vehicle can be broadcast almost immediately using Florida's extensive system of electronic highway messaging signs. The Florida Silver Alert Program is responsible for saving hundreds of lives since it became law in 2011, with the number of rescued elders nearly doubling each year. Because of the extraordinary and unprecedented cooperation between all of Florida's state and local law enforcement agencies, along with the Department of Transportation, the Department of Elder Affairs, and everyone who has ever dialed star 347. The Silver Alert Program in Florida has become a model for the nation. But it's just the beginning. Phase 2 of the Florida Silver Alert Program is now underway. It's called Lost on Foot.
The Florida Silver Alert program was signed into law in 2011, and the objective was to coordinate the response between local and state government in terms of quickly and effectively broadcasting information regarding an endangered and missing individual who suffers from Alzheimer's or related disorder and who's either driving in a vehicle or has been lost on foot.
For every one Silver Alert that we had with driving, we have like 7 times more people being lost on foot. And this could either be from the home or from living in a facility. The Silver Alert driving has been a success. Everyone feels that knowing it saved so many lives, and we're actually having people leave their counties less from the original statistics 5 years ago. Then it came to light that we have a huge issue on the local level with people lost on foot. We had to kind of deny those that were lost on foot because the infrastructure wasn't there. And that's where the Florida Lost on Foot program has come into being. We needed this tool to help us with those families on the local level.
Before Lost on Foot was actually enacted, we didn't have the ability to do anything with putting the Alzheimer's patient into a Silver Alert system, if you will, because it involved a car, and that was one of the particular parts of it. Now that they've enacted it with Lost on Foot, it's huge for law enforcement because we have found that a majority, probably 50% of people now actually go missing from a caregiver's home on foot. And they're usually within 1 mile to 2 miles from their house. Some of the triggers that would cause someone with Alzheimer's to wander away is they can become agitated with the caregiver. Interestingly enough, overstimulation also will cause someone with Alzheimer's to leave. They also may have what has been determined to be relocation stress. If they come from another state, they're down in Florida now, they get assimilated to the fact that, you know what is here is the same thing that's back home, and maybe they get stressed out because they don't know where they're at, so they're going to try to find things to them that are familiar.
Lost on Foot is totally different because an individual can, at any given second, if you turn your back, they can walk out a door and be gone. There's no big vehicle driving around. There's no way to find out where they are. It's more of a critical situation, to be honest with you, than even the vehicle. A vehicle gives you something to key in on. Lost on Foot, you don't know what to key in on, except that's what we're trying to get to in this program.
When somebody goes wandering off, some of the things that occur that we'd like to get corrected and would help us out greatly in law enforcement is usually what happens when the loved one goes missing. The caregiver will look around for the person, they'll start, and this is human nature, they'll turn around and start looking around the house, then they'll go outside and start to look at, and meanwhile time is going, click, 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 ticking away. And then the neighbors will see that, what are you doing? Oh, I'm looking for Bob. Where's Bob? Oh, okay, and they'll help to try to start learning. By this time, we're looking at 20 minutes or so before we ever get a phone call on it. And it's so important that we get that phone call as soon as possible. We need to be able to get to respond. 5 minutes or less is what we need to get when someone goes missing. And that's what the main thing we need for people to do to help us so we can help them bring their loved one home.
It is going to happen. It could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week, but it is going to happen. There is going to be a person who's going to walk away from where they live. They're going to drive a car away from their house. The family needs to understand that they have to immediately contact law enforcement.
Dad, breakfast is ready. Dad, where'd you go?
Calling 911
Dad?
is probably one of the most single important things that a caregiver can do after a loved one has gone missing.
Dad?
The quicker 911 is called, and we're talking within the first 5 minutes of the person being missing. Call 911, give us as much information as you possibly can to our call taker so that the responding officer is going to the scene, has as much information as possible.
911 emergency.
Hi, my dad has gone missing. He's not in the house, he has Alzheimer's, and I don't know, I guess he just wandered off and I can't find him.
Okay, no problem. Do me a favor and just take a deep breath. I need to get the address from you.
I live at 105 Hillcrest Court.
Okay. And about how long ago did he leave?
I don't know, maybe 5 minutes.
Is there any way you can send me a picture of him through email?
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll send you the picture.
Theoretically, somebody could walk a
I
mile,
have a picture here that you sent me.
if they're a fast walker, in less than 15 minutes. So if 15 minutes has passed, how far away is that individual? Now that could be a mile in any direction.
What happens when we get a call? The first thing that's going to happen is a unit's going to be responding to the house. Along with that unit, several other units will be responding. The reason being simple, they're going to start looking for the person as they get into the area.
Any unit in the area of 105 Hillcrest Court for a missing persons, possible Alzheimer's patient.
One Alpha 35. I'll be 51 from South Olive and Pine Terrace.
The complainant has emailed a picture of her father. I'll go ahead and I'll email that to your email.
We like to register these people to get them into a database and get a picture of the individual. If we get that phone call and that person is registered, as our officers are approaching to take the report immediately, all of law enforcement has been notified. K-9 is available. The helicopters are available. Other agencies are available. And the more information that we can give them, we may have an officer in another city because of that picture be able to see the person while the other officer there is at the house getting the information.
When that unit gets there, the primary unit, he's going to get as much, or she's going to get as much information for us as possible from the caregiver.
We're going to do our best to find your father, okay? The deputies are pulling up right now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
The important thing for us to be able to find out and what we need to know is all the ways in which we can identify them. You know, what is their race? What is their culture? Do they speak another language? What were they wearing? Where did they usually go? Who's their best friend? Do they attend a church? Do they go to a coffee shop? Where did they work? Has this ever happened before? And if it has, where did they go then?
So now that the Silver Alert Lost on Foot program is in place, it's opened up a network of systems and protocols that law enforcement can use to aid caregivers in finding their loved ones if they go lost on foot. With the advent of 211, the officers can get on the scene, get as much information as they can, but also know to dial 211, and all the other entities, all the other agencies that are connected in 211 can assist that law enforcement officer in getting as much information as possible.
1 Alpha 35. Show me out with the possible signaling. Murray Road and South Dixie Highway. White male, blue over tan. Hi, Mark.
All that extra information is going to be key in helping to find the lost one, the loved one that's lost on foot. And I'll tell you, the quicker we get the information, the quicker we can find somebody that's lost on foot, it's only going to be that much better in terms of finding them alive.
It is a very devastating situation when you've got someone out there that you don't know where they are.
Time is not on our side when they go missing. If they're not found within an hour or so, the odds of finding them alive and well drops dramatically.
I think the thing that breaks my heart when I see it is to see how the caregiver, they die from the inside out because of their feelings, their emotions, their fears, their anxiety. And a lot of them live in a denial state. They Not that they can't or they don't want to accept the fact that this is happening.
We don't want to have the obstacle of lack of time to be able to find that person as soon as possible. We've got to be prepared because we know that it's a when, not an if. And I couldn't live with myself to know that we didn't find that person in time.
They're going to wander away. It's too late after they wandered away. And maybe the only time they do it. What if it's the time we don't find them? The prevention concept is much more important than the finding concept. Finding is the last resort. Losing is the absolute last resort. We don't want to lose anybody.
We want to bring your loved ones home. We don't want anything to happen to them. We care about what happens to people, and we want to find them and bring them back home and safe and sound where they belong.
This is a statewide program, and having everyone be connected, whether you're talking through the law enforcement system or whether you're talking through the communities. We've also got other tools that, whether it be the Family Risk Guide that is going to be available not only locally, but it's also going to be on websites to have access to that family risk guide, to come up with the documentation. So when there is an event, that's all they have to do is just give it to law enforcement, and the photograph will be there. All these information statistically about a person's color of their eyes, how tall they are, how much, their weight, and all that, and as well as any kind of illnesses they may have, and also identify the language that that person speaks. All that is new.
Another thing too is floridasilveralert.com. If the caregiver knows to go to that website and take a look at all the forms that are on that website and all the different things that are there as tools for the caregiver to fill in all the pertinent information about their loved ones, to include photographs and so forth, that will help law enforcement as well, because that's another tool for us to go to get the information prior to even going on the scene, so that we have that even quicker than we can, in the event that it takes a long time to get to the scene.
Floridians can be very proud of the Silver Alert program and those who actually created it and implemented. Really, it's been a statewide effort, and the outcomes that we've achieved really is attributed to the entire team trying to make sure that we protect the vulnerable, that we protect people who can't protect themselves.
And then you go look at the recovery. They were seeing how many people were recovered, Silver Alert, 2 years ago versus what's recovered now. It's successful. The same thing will be true with Lost on Foot. Take Silver Alert, Lost on Foot, magnify them both together, let them marry each other, and then it becomes a great relationship. Law enforcement is on board. Law enforcement can do their job. The caregiver has to do theirs. Doctors do theirs. Nurses do theirs. Care centers do theirs. It's a team now. And it's never been like this before. And it's hot, and we need to run with it.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney, but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-5787 2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Hi, and welcome back. We've just finished watching the video, Lost on Foot, and with me today is Sylvia, whose husband was lost on foot. And I want to ask you, Sylvia, first off, what did you think of the video?
It was a valuable video. There was a lot of information in it, but if you come away with only one bit of information from it, it's the importance of time, which I had not appreciated myself. I let 5 to 7 minutes go by, uselessly apparently.
Well, they say within 5 minutes, so, you were close,
I was close,
without
but
even knowing about all of
there
this.
was no point in my going out on the road, though, in the car. Once I left the community and had left the familiar streets to him, I should have immediately
You know
called.
what? Don't beat yourself up about it. I mean, it's a stressful situation, and some people wait 20 minutes, and that's really a long time.
So that's the most important thing
Yes.
to get from this video, the importance of time. But there's one other thing I'd like to add that I can't remember where I picked up this bit of information, but I was told that when the police bring someone home, the most common thing that the families always say is, "He never did that before." No, they never do it before, but there's always a first time.
Right.
So be aware it can happen even though it never happened before.
Right. The statistics, I mean, they're like over 60% of people with some form of dementia will wander off. And I always say, okay, to that statement, oh, my husband never would do that, or my wife never did that. She wouldn't do that. And I said, you're right, until they do.
Exactly.
And
so.
that's exactly what I say, because no one knows, and you can't presume to know what a person with dementia is thinking or what they're going to do next. So I'm glad that you liked it, and thank you for your support. Also joining us via telephone is Karen Gilbert. Karen, you still there?
Yes, I am, and I would like to add, Sylvia, what you pointed out is so critical, absolutely. And with 60 to 70% predicted to leave a supervised setting at some point in the disease, that is a challenge. How do you know when that wandering, so to speak, period is beginning? And the family risk guide that was referenced and actually pictured in the video tells families all of that, and the types of indicators, the types of red flags that they can identify that would say to them, we may be getting to that point. We may be getting to the point where we are at risk for mom or dad or husband or wife to actually leave. And so the family risk guide points out several of those situations that you may want to be alert for and respond to those as quickly as you can to hopefully prevent an event from occurring.
Right. So we're looking at not just recovery, but we're looking at prevention too.
Absolutely. This work group that worked on the Lost on Foot process had really as its main goal minimizing the number of events and helping families to reduce these incidents. Because as Dr. Halpern says in the video, it's one thing to find someone. We'd really prefer if they didn't go missing in the first place.
Exactly. And
there is...
Right. They talked about the signs in the video, too. And if you recall, a few of the signs they talked about as a warning sign, people that have dementia, if they get extra agitated, or they become agitated. Agitation is something to look for, especially if they're agitated at a caregiver. They want to get away, so that's a warning sign. If they're overstimulated, sometimes they just need to get away from and get to a quiet place. They're just looking to make an escape, and also looking for a familiar place. You know, they want to go home, even though they're in the home they've been living in for ever, for even 20 years or most of their adult life. They're still looking to go home, so they're searching for something. So these are all clues that you should pick up on if you're experiencing any of this or hearing any of this. You know, that's a warning sign that you want to be prepared and be extra vigilant about someone getting lost on foot. So Karen, this, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Also, if they are suddenly having trouble locating which room is the bathroom, which room is their bedroom, if they can no longer identify rooms in the house, they may actually go out the front or back door.
Correct. Now,
and it may also be as simple as things like hats, coats, umbrellas, keys hanging near an exit door. That's a cue to leave. And so one of the things we help families with is neutralizing the appearance of that exit door to discourage exiting.
Yeah, we want to encourage to stay, not to go. So Karen, you're the Vice President of Education and Quality Assurance for Alzheimer's Community Care, which is a wonderful organization that we use locally here to help educate caregivers. And this family risk guide, we want to make this available to anyone who would like to have one. And I know that you have it up, I believe, on your website for Alzheimer's Community Care.
It's actually pending on the Florida Department of Elder Affairs website.
Okay.
These, our initial order of 10,000 of these have just about been consumed. But at our educational conference in March, we will have every single attendee will have the family risk guide. Ultimately, it will be in the hands of home health agencies, doctors' offices, the area agency on aging offices will have it, adult day centers will have it. The plan is for this to be available throughout the state.
Correct.
Right now, the Lost on Foot Silver Alert process is being piloted in Palm Beach, Broward, and Brevard counties for a 6-month period, just to ensure there are no kinks in the process, that everything is working exactly as it was intended, and then this will go statewide.
Wonderful. Well,
right now, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is giving these out in the community. They're actually going out in the community, and they're encouraging people to sign up with their voluntary registry. So you can actually provide a lot of information in advance. So if you ever have an event, the Sheriff's Office and the police departments instantly have the information and a photo.
That's a great idea.
It is a wonderful idea, and Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office is really spearheading this with a lot of enthusiasm. They truly are passionate about keeping our loved ones safe.
Well, that is awesome to know, and I want to thank you for joining us today on Caregiver Solutions Info. I want to thank Sylvia Lippy for coming in and sharing her personal story about Lost on Foot. And I also want to offer our listeners that Arden Courts is there for you too. Arden Courts wants to help you protect your loved ones while they're still home. And if you're interested in getting one of the family risk guides and you're not able to get your hands on one, we will have them available. And all you have to do is call the toll-free number for Arden Courts at 888-478-2410. Tell them that you'd like a copy of the Family Risk Guide. You heard about it on Caregiver Solutions Info program, and they'll be able to just get your name and address and be happy to mail one right to your home. So until next time, don't forget, give someone a hug, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more CareGiver Solutions.